Let me begin by saying that I want to thank the creator of the heavens and the earth for the opportunity to be able to share this Shabbat with you. And I want to thank him for the mind that he's given to all of us. So I say Berekuth et Yahweh di Hamvurak. I say Baruch Yahweh di Hamvurak de la Alam Wayed. Baruch atah Yahweh de Eloheinu de Melech Haolam. Asher Bakar Banu de Mikola Hamamayim. De Wenethan Lenu de Et Torah Tho. De Baruch atah Yahweh de Nothena al Torah. We say Baruch atah Yahweh Eloheinu de Melech Haolam. Asher Nathan de Lenu de Torah de Dimet de Wekaye. The Olam, the Bethokinu Baruch atah Yahweh, the Nothena al Torah. And what is that to say? That is to say, blessed are you, Yahweh, you are blessed one. We bless you, Yahweh, for you the blessed one for all eternity. We bless you for you are our Elohim, and you are the King of the universe, and you have selected us from all the peoples and given us your Torah. We bless you, Yahweh, for you are the giver of the Torah. We bless you, Yahweh, for you are our Elohim, you're the King of the universe, and who has given us the Torah of truth and have implanted eternal life within us. We bless you, Yahweh, for you are the giver of the Torah. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. Let's see. Got people trying to get in. Let's get them in. Praise Yah. Hallelujah. All right. So this has been an interesting week of events. You know, a lot of things are happening in the world. You know, my heart goes out to those families who have lost their children in the state of Texas. I think that's where it's at. Yeah. And this is just a terrible thing. It's this world that we live in right now is really what I would say off the chain. You know, you get this white supremacist to go in and kill all those Israelites. We get this young man who just lost his mind going there and kill all those kids. And I'm pretty sure that none of those parents were expecting that to happen. They will never see their children again. The reason why these things are happening, everyone, is simply because the world has lost its way. They have detached themselves from the creator of the universe. And I know that what I'm about to say may not be popular, but it's the truth. Israel is responsible for the condition of the world. We're the ones who he selected to be his people out of all peoples on the face of the earth. We're the ones that he selected to teach the Torah, to be the light unto the nations. And that's the desire. And that's the goal, is that you and I would be the light, and that we would be the ones who would teach everyone on what it is that he expects from the creation. Everything happens because of Israel. Everything, okay? The nations, Yah is moving nations, and he's moving all different types of things right now on our behalf. This is not magic, okay? So we're not in a religion. You and I are not part of religion. We're part of a culture. We're part of a family. And it's because we've lost our way that things have gone awry, okay? In the chapter that we're going to be talking about today, you know, the last part of our Torah portion of this in particular book called Vayikra, which they would call Leviticus, chapter numbers 26 and 27, is about the Kukothai. And Kukothai means my statutes, okay, my decrees, my ways that I do things. And so, you know, we've learned over the last, I think, several months, we've been in the book of Vayikra, and we've had 10 Torah portions within there. And this is the last one. So next week, we're going to be taking a detour. Okay, so this whole time that you and I have been walking on this, we've learned about, and I'll show you those books to you right quick, just to kind of familiarize you with it since we haven't been there for a minute. Let me see here. Let's see right here. All right. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
So we know that Wayikra means, and he declared, okay, and he proclaimed, okay. So we've learned about what Yah wanted in terms of offerings, right? And what those are. We learned about the sacrifices, 1 through 5. And we understand that, the sins that those sacrifices were covering were not for intentional, but unintentional, or for making mistakes. We learned that the animals had to kind of match exactly what Yah wanted to be reflective of our lives. We also learned in the book of Zav, meaning a command, okay? The Yah had given it a command, again, in regards to how one is supposed to approach him, okay? Then we went about Shemini, and that talked about how we're to deal with a young child, a male, being born, and how they were supposed to be circumcised. And it dealt with how a woman is supposed to go through a purification process, and how one is supposed to be able to approach the Creator after those events. Zazara or Zaria, okay, talks about, both of these together talk about cleansiness and how we are supposed to make sure that we separate ourselves from Yahweh due to our uncleannesses. Also, too, over in Shemini, we found out about the diet. Okay, we found out how we're supposed to eat and what Yah has proclaimed to be clean and unclean. And so all these different things that we've learned is about Yah making a proclamation to us what it is. Then he also oh, by the way, over in Shemini as well, we found out about Aaron's sons and how they died, And then later on, he tells us about the Akare Moth, after death, We learned about that. And we learned about the two, goats, and which one we wanted to be, We want to be the one that stayed. We're not the one who's been sent out into the wilderness with transgression upon us. We actually want to make our lives be acceptable to Yah. You want to make sure that you're not the scapegoat. You don't want to be the scapegoat. You want to be the one that Yah wants, not the one that he has put sin on and sent out into the wilderness, okay? We also found out about Quodashim, and Quodashim is very important. Talk to us about being separated through holiness and what that means. What does it mean to be Kodashim? What does it mean in terms of how we live our lives, and what type of relationships would dictates these things for us, right? And then Amor was talking about him speaking to us, in chapters 21 through 24, all the different things that he's saying to us and communicating. Last week we talked about Bahar, which had to do with Yuval, and it had to do with him speaking on the mountain and telling them about a time of release and a time of everyone going back and things reverting back to what it used to, how you're supposed to release the slaves, and how the children of Israel are Yahweh's slaves. And so all of the things that Yahweh was speaking to us is simply to let us know that since you belong to me and you're my servant, I have to teach you which way to live and how it's going to be beneficial for the community. And that leaves us with our last Torah portion, which is Bakukothai, okay? And again, the Bakukothai means to be in my decrees, right? To follow what I'm telling you, right? And they belong to him. And so we've been studying that over the last week. So next week, you and I are going to travel, and we're going to take a detour, and we're going into the wilderness. That's what the word ba midbar means. Ba means in, and midbar means wilderness, okay? And so that whole thing here, next week, we're going to begin that journey. Now, Yah's going to take us through the wilderness. You might ask yourself, well, why are we going through these? Why is Yah showing these things? Because he's trying to show us who he is and how he's responded and how our people have responded and what are the instructions, okay? And so Yah's making promises to us, and he's fulfilling promises at the same time, all right? But today, what I'm going to read to you is, okay, I'm sorry. I did. So today, what I'm going to read to you is how our Creator is going to discipline us, okay? and how he says that this is the way it is. And I want to show you some things about the Creator that you've probably never known, and it's going to disturb you. It's going to shake you to your core. It's going to cause you to start thinking differently. You're actually going to see, you might be offended, just to let you know. I'm going to do my best to make sure that I don't harm anybody in the process of saying these things. Okay. I am really about saying what he said, but I'm going to put it to you in a way that shows you that Yah loves us. Okay. And sometimes, even though Yah is very hard on us, it's not because he doesn't love us. It's because of the things that we've done. One of the words that we've been focusing on this week, if you've been on the studies this week, is that Yah is always telling us about if you would do what I'm asking you to do. If. It's always about an if. It's relative, right? It's theoretical. What if it happens? This could happen. It could not happen. It really depends on you. Okay. So let's begin in chapter number 26. And there's going to be a lot of reading. Okay. And I do want you to be able to ask some questions, all right, that are pertaining and relative to what we're talking about. All right. I might not have the answer. I don't claim to have all the answers, but if I know it, I'll tell it to you, and I'll be as honest as I can be without crossing any lines. Okay. So here it is. Chapter number 26, verse number 10 says this: after Yah had told them, I will turn to you. Where am I at? Yeah, 26. We left off on Yom Kamishi, where he talked about, I will uphold my covenant with you. I'll let my covenant stand with you. Verse number 10. If we would do what Yahweh says, then he says, you will eat all you want from last year's harvest, and you will throw out what remains of the old and make room for the new. I want to take just a moment, and let us know that the only way that you and I can move forward, okay, in any endeavor that we do, we have to remove those things which are in the old to make room for the new. Okay. In our lives, we hold on to things. We're holding on to ideas and concepts and teachings that have been with us all of our lives. And we're having a hard time letting them go because that's all we know. It's hard to let go from everything because everything has been taught by your beloved parents and grandparents and your uncles and your aunts and people that love you, right? And so you don't want to let those things go, right? You and I have to let go of things. We got to let go of, as he's been talking to us about, our attitudes and our behaviors. This is about conduct, okay? And I named this in particular teaching today about Zest, and Zeal, or Zeal, and Zest. It has to do with how we feel about Yah. That's what this is about. When he talks about Bakukothai, if you would do these things, okay? But it takes a certain type of motivation for this to happen. He says that I'll give you so much that I need you to get rid of those old things so you can bring in the new things. That's something for us to think about. He says in 11, I will put my tabernacle among you, and I will not reject you. That tabernacle is called his Mishkani, okay? When Yahweh's tabernacle is with us, okay? When his tabernacle is with us, then Yahweh is with us, okay? Yahweh doesn't just dwell with one individual. I want you to understand this. I know we believe that Yah, we say that he's with us, and I know that we think that, we're the only one that he loves and all these sorts of things. The fact of the matter is, we're not talking about an individual. What we're talking about is community, and what we're talking about is a people, okay? Yah did not say that I'm called. He says, speak to the sons of Israel, meaning the community of Israel. Tell them what I'm saying, okay? And out of that community, the individuals there can decide collectively that we're going to do what he says. Okay. Well, Yah is not with us when the tabernacle is not with us. That's what we need to understand. But I will walk among you, and you will be your Elohim, and you will be my people. This phrase right here, that I will walk among you and be your Elohim, and you will be my people, is Yahweh actually letting us know I'm fulfilling the covenant that I swore to your ancestor Abraham when I told him that if you were to walk uprightly before me, I will be Elohim to you and the descendants after you. Okay. I am Yahweh, your Elohim, who brought you out of the land of Mizraim. Okay. Every time Yahweh uses this phrase, I am Yahweh. Okay. He's speaking of his attributes, his character, right? His character is connected to what he's done. I brought you out. I'm going to continually remind you that I brought you out of the land of Mizraim. I have not done this for your ancestors. I didn't do this for Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Okay. And I'm going to take a pit stop right quick and show you where he says, and we'll come back to 13 in a second. He says this, and you can find this in the book of Exodus. And I'm going to move a little bit faster today because we have so much information to cover and I want to get it all in. This is what he says in the book of Exodus, chapter number 6. Write this down for yourselves as a reference point. Yahweh said to Moshe, now you would see that what I'm going to do to Pharaoh. With a mighty hand, he will send them off, and with force, he will drive them from the land. Yahweh spoke, Elohim spoke to Moshe and said to him, I am Yahweh. I am Yahweh. Okay, this is what he told him. Listen carefully. I appeared to Abraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov as El Shaddai, although I did not make myself known to them by my name, Yohe-Wahe. Okay, so all the different times that we have read over the last few weeks, and I believe it is starting in chapter number 18 of Vayikra, where he says, I am Yahweh, I am Yahweh, I am Yahweh, Quote Hashem, I am Yahweh. You guys remember that? The reason why he kept saying that over and over and over again is because he's letting us know, listen, the way that I'm operating with you is different than how I operate with your father, Abraham, Yitzhak, and Yaakov. I'm not making a covenant with them from Mount Sinai. I've already made a covenant with them. Okay. My covenant with you is based on this name. And I'm the one who brought you out of Mitzrayim. He says, I did not make myself known to them by my name, Yohe-Wahe. I did not make myself known. I didn't make myself known. Also with them, I established my covenant, right? To give them the land of Canaan, the land where they wandered about and lived as foreigners. That was my covenant. My covenant with them is to ensure that I would give them the land of Canaan, okay? And where they wandered about as foreigners. Moreover, okay, I have heard the groaning of the people of Israel, whom the Egyptians are keeping in slavery, and I have remembered my covenant. I remember my covenant that I made with Abraham, Yitzhak, and Yaakov. The covenant I made was about land, and it was to give them descendants, but also to be their Elohim. Therefore, say to the people of Israel, I am Yahweh. I will free you from the forced labor of the Egyptians, rescue you from their oppression, and redeem you with an outstretched arm and with great judgments. I did a study on this where I talked about everything that he said he's going to do. I will free you from the forced labor. I will rescue you, okay, from their oppression. I will redeem you, okay, with a stretched arm and with great judgments. I will take you as my people, and I will be your Elohim. The question that I had posed earlier is, and I'm talking about in my teachings before, if Yahweh is with us and he is our Elohim, then why is it that you and I have not been taken out from where we are today? You say, well, he's our Elohim. That's who we're serving right now. What we believe and what we've been taught about service to Yah has been dictated by people who don't know Yah. Everything that you and I have, remember, we got to get rid of the old to make room for the new. You and I can never fully come to understand who Yahweh truly is and what his goals and objectives are for his people until we accept where we are and who we are. Okay. So the bottom line is right now, you and I are in captivity. You and I have been spread out to the four corners of the earth. You and I are not in service to Yahweh. We have brought no offering, no contribution, nothing. Okay. Our thanks to Yahweh is being accepted. We say, I accept that. Okay. Because even Shlomo said, if they're in a place where they're scattered and they turn towards this place and they ask you for forgiveness, which that's all we need to do, he said, forgive them. That's how simple it is. But the fact of the matter remains is that you and I are in exile. And the fact of the matter is that we're in the land of wickedness. The fact of the matter is Yah Mishkan, his Mishkan is not with us. You and I don't have a clue. Okay. And I know this is going to break some hearts. We don't have a clue who the creator really is. This is why he uses the phrase all the time. Then you'll know who I am. And we're going to look at that. Okay. We're going to look at that. But while we're in slavery and while we're under the authority of anybody else, you and I are not operating and functioning and living under the care of our creator. And that's the truth. Okay. And what do we do with that? Well, we have to make a decision. We have to understand where we are. Yah wants us to literally understand this, because if you don't understand this, what you're going to do is you're going to make up some stories in your head and you're going to think that you're okay and you're going to think you're acceptable. And therefore you're going to actually, what they would call, miss the bus. Okay. You're going to miss what Yah's looking for, because there's something that he's looking for from us while we're in exile. And we read it last on Yom Kamishi, where he said that if you would turn back to me and be wholehearted, if you would listen to me, okay, and pay attention to what I've said. If we're not listening to what he said because we're listening to other people and they're telling us how wonderful we are, you're lost. And I would say we're lost in the sauce, because it's not the truth. The truth is that we're in a really bad situation right now. If you and I don't recognize the fact that we need to be rescued, then you and I are not going to have the right type of mindset. If you think that everything's fine right now, and that's what you're under that idea and that thought process, then Yah's not going to, there's no reason for you to be waiting for him. You're going to live the way that you're living, because that's what you want to do. Okay. So Yah tells us this in 13. I am Yahweh, the one who brought you out of the land of Mitzrayim, so that you would not be their slaves. I have broken the bars of your yoke so that you can walk upright. That's the reason why Yah's delivered us, okay, out of Mitzrayim, for us to walk upright. But we chose not to walk upright, okay? That's the reason why. In the Hebrew text, they don't show it right here, but in the English, it stops right here. Everything going up from here from 1 to 13 is dealing with what you would call a blessing. But I'm going to bless your land. I'm going to bless your fruit. You guys are going to do well. I'm going to give you the rains. I'm going to give you this. But it's all contingent upon if. Everything from 14 down is very disturbing. Everything here from here down is a curse. And I looked that word up, and it says for it to be execrate, meaning to, Yah's going to denounce us if we don't do what he says. Yah is going to publicly denounce us. He's publicly going to publicly put us to shame. Okay. So listen what he says. And remember, and I tripped off of this. This word if is all over the place. It's if. Just remember if. In Hebrew, it's im. If you will not listen to me and obey all these words, okay, all these mitzvot, okay, all these commandments, if you hate, loathe my regulations and reject my rulings in order not to obey all my commandments, but cancel my covenant. This word cancel here is to crush. It means to according to Hebrew, it means to take it and trample on it. Okay. If you trample on the covenant I'm telling you, and you crush it and you break it and you reject me and you hate me, the things that I'm about to tell you is going to happen to you. Right? So this word listen and obey is the word for Shema. Okay. What does Shema mean? Besides listen and obey, what does it mean?
Here.
You're supposed to hear it, but also you're supposed to do it. And he tells us, Shema Yisrael, Yahweh Eloheinu, Yahweh what? Yahweh is one. He's a God. And you're supposed to love Yahweh, right? Ahavata eth Yahweh with v'kol levavika, with all your heart, which is your mind, and all of your soul, and all of your strength. So when Yah is asking us, okay, to listen to him, that means that he's saying that the only person that you need to listen to is me. I'm the only one that you should be listening to. I spoke to Moshe. I told him what it was. He's supposed to tell you what I said. If there's a prophet and that prophet comes in my name, he's supposed to tell you what I said. This is what Yah is testing to find out if you and I would listen to him. So listening and obeying means that you're going to give Yahweh everything. But if you feel like you're okay and you feel like nothing's wrong, you're not going to give Yahweh everything. If you loathe my regulations, if you hate what I told you, my kukothai, my mishpatai, my rulings, the way that I decided for you to live, which is my will. Will is included in the Torah, in the mitzvot, in the kukothai. You and I have been chosen by him to live the way that he wants us. What else did he say? Then I, for my part, will do this to you. I will bring terror upon you and wasting disease and chronic fever and dim your sight and sap your strength. You will sow your seed for nothing because your enemies will eat your crops. This is if you and I go against him. I will set my face against you. I'll say it again. I will set my face against you. I'm not for you. Your enemies will defeat you. Those who hate you will hound you, meaning pursue you. You will flee when no one's pursuing you. You're going to be that terrified. If these things don't make you listen to me, operative word that you and I are going to learn today, then I will discipline you 7 times, meaning I am going to make an oath. That means that that stroke and that discipline is not going to stop until I'm finished dealing with you, okay, over your sins. I will break the pride that you have in your own power. Okay, they have a period right here, but in the Hebrew, it doesn't have a period. It's talking about their pride is in their own power was about everything that they had. This is the reason why he said, I will make your sky like iron and your soil like bronze, because Yah now is going to what? He's going to destroy the land. The pride and the wealth of Israel is in their land. What did Yah promise to give to Abraham?
Please.
I'm going to give you land. I'm going to give you descendants. So you can't have all these descendants without a land. Okay. So Yah is going to take away the land and he's going to destroy it. The way he's going to destroy it is through the sky. Meaning it's going to be like iron. It's going to be very hard. Okay. And your soil like bronze. I'm going to make this very hard. Okay. And this is going to be very hard. This is going to be so difficult that you're not going to be able to grow anything. Okay. So now the curse kind of reminds me of what Yahweh told Adam when he told him, because you've done this, what I'm going to do to the ground. Now that you've gone against me, what I'm going to do? I'm going to curse the ground. So you can see that our behavior and our actions are directly connected to that which we've been taken from. Okay. So I'm trying to give us a more holistic concept of who we are and how we're attached to the land. Okay. And how we are the ones who can dictate whether or not the showers come when they're supposed to. Because we refuse to do what Yahweh says, Yahweh is going to go ahead and punish us through the land. Okay, so that's the first thing he starts at. He starts off with the land. Then he says in verse number 19, verse number 19, I will break the pride that you have in your power. I'll make your skies like iron and your soil like bronze. You will spend your strength in vain because the land The land will not yield its produce. So I'm going to take everything that you work for, all your strength of your body is all going to be in vain. I'm going to take everything away from you. Okay. Your fields they're not going to produce anything. Your trees in the field, they're not going to have their fruit. So if you take away somebody's fruit and you take away the produce, what's going to happen to the person? They're going to die. They're going to, how are they going to die?
Through hunger.
Starvation.
I'm going to starve you. Okay. I need us to look at this. Yah is saying, I'm going to starve you. Starvation, you would think, is a very cruel thing, wouldn't you? He's going to show us and tell us who he is. If you and I go against Yah, he said, I'm going to starve you. I'm going to do more than starve you. Okay. It's going to be worse. Okay. He says, yes, if you go against me and you don't listen to me, operative word, listen, I will increase your calamities sevenfold, 7 times. Okay. According to your sins. I'm going to put an oath on that too. I'm bringing calamity. I will send wild animals among you. So I'm going to starve you, and I'm also going to send wild animals. And guess what they're going to do? They're going to rob you of your children. You'll be sitting there, and your child will be playing around and playing with their friends. And all of a sudden, Yah says, I'm sending in a lion or a hyena or a cheetah or a leopard. I'm going to send them in, or an alligator or whatever I need to send in. And they're going to take your child away from you. And I'm going to destroy your livestock too. And I'm going to reduce your numbers. Remember earlier this week, we talked about Yah increasing our numbers, because that's what the oath is. And that's what the covenant is based upon. The covenant is based upon us being increased, not being decreased. That's why the field is supposed to increase. Okay. But if you and I don't do what Yah says, he says, I'm going to cut your numbers down. I'm going to reduce you. And then your roads are going to be deserted. This is terrible. Okay. And if, in spite of all this, you refuse, if you notice, it's always refusing. You refuse my correction and still go against me. Okay. Then I too will go against you. I will strike you 7 times over for your sins. So have you noticed all these 7s? Okay. I will bring a sword against you, which will execute the vengeance of the covenant. We went over that. You will be huddled inside your cities, and I will send sickness among you, and you will be handed over to the power of the enemy. So I'm going to make you sick too. The reason why you're going to be handed over your enemy is because usually when enemies would come, the first thing they would do is they just wouldn't come. They would send in some spies. When the spy would come into the city, they would look at the conditions of the people. And they would look at, are they being guarded? Are they strong? Do you remember what Israel said when they went into the land and Moshe sending spies in the land? He came back and said, these people are strong. These people are tall. This land is good, such and such and such and such. Okay. So Yah is saying, what I'm going to do is I'm going to weaken you. Okay. I'm going to make you weak, because I'm going to take your food away from you. I'm going to starve you. I'm going to take your kids. I'm going to decrease your numbers. I'm about to bring nothing but havoc and calamity upon you because you broke faith with me. Okay. And I will cut off the supply of bread. I'm going to starve you. Okay. So that the 10 women will bake bread in one oven and dole out your bread by weight, and you will eat and not be satisfied. Well, previously, verses 1 through 13 told us that Yah would give us enough to always satisfy us. So what is Yah telling us? He's telling us that the opposite of not doing what I told you means that you're going to die. You're going to die. You, your children, and everybody. The animals are going to die. Everybody's going to die. Okay. So brings me to the point of Christianity. Christianity celebrates death. They celebrate it. Matter of fact, if you look at today, what is today? Or this weekend? What are they celebrating this weekend?
Memorial Week.
What's Memorial Day about? You know,
Fallen soldiers.
yeah. So memorial means a car. And Zakar means male. And Zakar actually means to remember. Okay. Zakar also means memorial. Okay. So we remember Yah was killing the firstborn on Pesach. Okay. So that has a purpose for Yah redeeming Israel. They're celebrating the death, okay, of fallen soldiers, okay, that went in and killed people and were killed because they wanted to do what? They wanted to take over somebody's land. Everything has to do with land, okay? You understand? So their memorial is to remember the death. And now they also want you to remember the death of their Messiah. You know, and they have special days that they want you to remember that as well. Okay, so here it is. You're not going to be satisfied. You're going to starve. And if, it's always an if, all this, you will still not listen to me, but go against me. Have you noticed how many times he said that? Then I will go against you furiously, and I will chasten you, right? Or chastise you 7 times more for your sins. How many sevens have you and I heard? This beating that we've been receiving has been terrible. If that's not enough, what else am I going to do? 29 says this: you will eat the flesh of your own sons, and you will eat the flesh of your own daughters. If you go against the creator of the heavens and the earth, and you guys don't think that this is possible, but I'm going to let you know today, Yah says, I will turn you into a cannibal. You don't have any more food to eat. You don't have no more grain. You have no more fruits. You have no more vegetables. You have no more nothing. So it's going to get so bad. What I'm going to do is, and this happened, you're going to eat your own children. That's the Elohim that you and I serve. And this is the bad news. If you and I decide to go and continue to go against him, this is the fate awaiting for anybody. You're going to be destroyed. You understand? This is the Elohim that I serve, that you and I serve. If we decided we don't want to be part of the covenant anymore, this is what it is. Yah saying, since you don't want to do what I'm telling you, we're going to go all the way now. Now that you can't be corrected, you can't see anything wrong in your life, you don't want to make any adjustments, you don't want to make any changes. Guess what we're going to do now? Now you're going to eat your own children. You're going to consume them now. You're not going to consume anything of the land. I'm going to have you consume yourself. I will destroy you, destroy your high places, cut down your pillars for sun worship, because that was going to be part of it, because that's what they've done. And throw your carcasses on the carcasses of your idols. I will hate you. I will detest you. This is for turning your back on Yahweh. Okay? This is what it is. Then he says this, I will lay waste to your cities and make your sanctuaries desolate as not to smell your fragrant aromas. There won't be no more offerings. I will desolate the land so that your enemies living in it will be astounded by it. You, I will disperse among the nations. Now, here's the kicker. Oh. I'm going to disperse you among the nations. So now you and I know why we've been dispersed. I will draw out the sword in pursuit after you. Your land will be a desolation and your cities a wasteland. Then at last, the land will be paid its Shabbats as long as it lies desolate and you are in the lands of your enemies. Okay. So this idea that you and I are in the land of Israel today is not true. It's not true. The fact of the matter is that the land is going to lie desolate until she's paid back her Shabbats. And when she gets paid, as she's being paid, you and I, and it lies desolate, and we're in the lands of our enemies, the land will rest and be repaid as Shabbats, meaning there's no one going to be left on this land. This is what he said, okay? Yes, as long as it lies desolate, it will have shalom or rest. The rest it did not have during your Shabbats when you live there. Because so we were breaking the Shabbats. And this is the reason why Yah has put us out of the land as well, because it's connected to the land. Because chapter number 25 told us to do what with the Shabbats? What are we supposed to give a Shabbat to the land? When?
7th year.
Shemitah.
On the 7th year on the Shemitah. Yes. So because we didn't do so, he's telling us right now that because of your rebellion and not listening to me and listening to my voice, you have now violated the Shabbats that belong to the land. I care about the land, but now the land is going to lie desolate. Okay. And those of you who are left, because I'm going to kill a whole bunch of you, I will fill their hearts with anxiety in the lands of their enemies. That's a promise. The sound of a driven leaf will frighten them, so that they will flee as one flees from the sword when no one is pursuing. That's how terrified people are going to be. Yes, with no one pursuing, they will stumble over each other as fleeing from the sword, and you have no power. Now, here's the part where a lot of people get mad when I tell them this. You will have no power to stand against your enemies. Question: is Yahweh with us? Children of Israel went into the land, and he told them, he said, don't go into the land. You guys came back with an evil report. They said, we're going to go anyway. Yah says, I'm not with you. Moshe told him, Yah's not with you. The only way that Yah is with us, folks, is if you and I are able to stand and defeat people. The only way that Yah was with us is when we're prospering. When us as a nation, as a people, not individuals. Get that idea out your mind, okay? You got to start thinking community. You have to start thinking heritage. You have to start thinking inheritance. You have to start thinking Israel, okay? So among the nations, you will perish. The land of the enemies will devour you. Well, we're prospering. I got a brand new car. I got a classic car. I got a 3-bedroom house. I got this. I got a great job. I got this. I got that. Guess what he says? He says that you will perish and your enemies will devour you. So there's something different between us being with him and being with them. And the bottom line is, I said earlier that you and I don't really know him. And we don't know what he really has in store for us. We got some ideas, but you and I haven't experienced those things. And he wants to bring us to that place to where we can have that experience. He doesn't want this to all be about just talking. It's not going to be about talk. It's going to be about action, and he's going to show it. We've been over this before here from 40 all the way down, which means that Yah's not breaking his commandments. I mean, his covenant. He's not. You can finish reading this on your own. Okay. Chapter 26, verse 40 through 46. He's not breaking his covenant at all. Okay. But I do want to take our attention over to Jeremiah. And I want you to hear something. Chapter number 11. It has to do with the curses, because that's what we're talking about. Here's the word that came to Yirmiyahu from Yahweh. Listen to the words of this covenant. Speak to the people of Yehuda and the inhabitants of Yerushalayim. Tell them that Yahweh Elohim of Israel says, a curse on anyone who does not pay attention to the words of this covenant. Okay. Well, he's talking to Yehuda. He's talking to Jerusalem, the inhabitants of Yerushalayim. We're not there. Those are our ancestors, by the way. That's your bloodline. Okay. Which I enjoined on your ancestors. He wants them to hear something that he gave to the ancestors. And the ancestors he's talking about are not Abraham, Yitzhak, and Yaakov. The ancestors he's talking about are the ancestors at the time that I brought them out of the land of Mizraim. That is the theme. That's how you know who's talking. Yah says, I need you to understand and listen. I need you to listen to the words of the covenant. I brought them out of the iron smelter. I said, what did I tell them? I told them to listen to my voice. That's what I told them to do. I told them to shema. I told them to obey. I told them to carry out all my orders, my commandments. Then you will be my people, and I will be your Elohim, like we just saw over in 26. He says, then I will put my Mishkan among you, so that I can fulfill the oath, the 7 that I swore to your ancestors. What ancestors here? Abraham, Yitzhak, and Yaakov, to give them a land. This is what this is all about. If you're in pursuit of Yahweh, you need to be in pursuit of a land that's flowing with milk and honey as it is today, because that is the only thing that Yahweh has sworn to our ancestors in regards to your inheritance. You can't add to anything else that he said. He said land flowing with milk and honey. He said descendants, Abraham, Yitzhak, and Yaakov, in the 12 tribes of Israel, Reuven, Levi, Shimon. You understand? Yehuda, Issachar, Zebulun, Gad, Asher, and Naphtali, Dan, Yosef, Benjamin, Ephraim, Manasseh. That's what he's talking about. And all those who join themselves with them. You understand? So we're talking about land. The Kukothai is connected to the land. The Mishpatai, his judgments are connected to the land. His Abotheka, the covenant, is connected to the land. Our fathers kept Yahweh's Mishpatai, and they kept the Kukothai. Well, they didn't receive the covenant. You mean to tell me that they didn't receive any instructions from the Holy One? Yes, they did. And they did everything that Yah said to do. And that's the difference between them and us. Yah knows that Israel is a rebellious people. And he knows that the only way to get our attention is through affliction. We're a people who have been under affliction and been oppressed. That's why he keeps saying, I'm the one who released you, so you can walk uprightly before me. I'm the one who's going to deliver you. I'm the one who's going to pop the lock off your neck. And it happened because you're not listening to me. You're coming up with all different types of ideas and new ways to approach me rather than what I told you. I've already told you to listen to my voice. I've already told you to listen and carry out my orders. I've told you. Listen to what I'm about to tell you. You and I, whether we want to accept this or not, the moment that you and I do not give ourselves over to studying the Torah is the moment that you abandon Yahweh. That's the moment you're not listening to his voice. The only way that Yah can speak to us is through the Torah. This is it. This is why he's telling Jeremiah, who go and you tell them this is what Yahweh says. Because anyone who doesn't listen to my voice is cursed. I'm going to put you to shame publicly. I'm going to destroy you. When we abandon the study of the Torah, you and I are cursed. When you make excuses why you can't study the Torah because you got a job, you're cursed. And you and anyone else in your family that abandons Yahweh will be cursed. But the curse can be broken. There's several curses that are mentioned in Deuteronomy chapter number 27. Several. And they're in a participle. That means they're continuing. These curses that are on us are going to continue to happen until we turn around and said, we're going to do your will. Just doing a whole bunch of talking is not Yah's will. Saying that you keep the Shabbat is not Yah's will. It's the person who says, I'm going to give myself wholeheartedly over to the cause and to the duty and the responsibility that's been given to me as an individual. This has to come from within, folks. You can't have nobody twisting your arm telling you to study the Torah. You got to study the Torah. I work all day. I don't have time. I got to go to listen. I'm just giving you the heads up. Not only do you supposed to study the Torah, you're supposed to make it apply to your life. There's no way possible that you and I can go around telling people that the Elohim is with us and we don't have nothing. That's a shameful thing. I think what he's asking us to do is to be quiet and listen. What do you tell a child every time you tell them they're talking? And you say, you're not listening to what I'm saying. I've been talking to you and talking to you and talking to you, but you're not listening. Okay. That Shema, Yeret, that you've been talking about is important. Yes. Zanya.
Yes, Shabbat Shalom, brother. Yes, so many of our people don't understand. They're simply content where the Most High says in Leviticus 26 that, that he won't break his covenant and completely destroy us while we're here. And they seem to be content with that. They don't understand that the blessings lie in the land from we won't be sick anymore. There won't be any violence among us anymore, that and even more, he's in the land. We get to dwell among him. That the whole prize is in the land. And even us awakened ones, we get into these cliques and we're actually satisfied and content with our congregations and here, and we become completely desensitized to people dropping dead around us, even our own sickness that we go through. And we say, oh, I know he's with me. And our bodies are writhing from cancer and diabetes and all these other things. We have to get back to the land.
We have to, and I couldn't have said it any better. What it is, the name of this message is Zeal, and Zest. Yah says, because you don't have any Zeal, and Zest for me, your destiny at that moment is over. If you and I don't have this desire, you have to have something within you. This is not where you could just say something and then Yah's going to accept you. We've already played that game. We've already stood before him at Mount Sinai and said, I'll do everything you said. We'll do everything you say. We'll do it all. Running games with Yah, playing, acting. Completely apathetic when it comes to studying. We can study every other book and try to understand it. And I got to commend the people who are learning the language. You have to dig deep. You got to make up your mind and stop making excuses and stop rationalizing why you can't do what he said to do. He says it over and over and over again. Listen to my voice. We got people out here that are saying that Moshe didn't write the Torah. The first 5 books has nothing has to do with Moshe. Somebody else wrote it. They're coming up with every reason why they don't have to do what he said. Listen carefully. Moshe told the children of Israel, your life is not a trivial matter for you. If you would listen to what Yahweh says, you get to live. If you don't, you die. Well, I'm going to die anyway. No, you folks. He's telling us that I will destroy your soul. I'm going to erase you. You will never exist again. I'm going to exterminate you. You have been considered a traitor, a defector from me. That's why he says it's my kukothai, my mishpatai, my will, my commandments, my moedim, my appointed times. And if you have a treasonous type of attitude where you don't want to do what he says and you're ignoring it and you're putting it on the back burner and you considered it worthless, and then you rationalize it. And then you hate those who do it. You said it's antiquated. I don't have to do this no more because I'm not in the land. I don't see how this is, Azania. I don't understand how people let stuff go over their head. How often does he tell us that I'm the one who brought you out of the land of Mizraim to bring you into the land that I promised your ancestors? And why are we today in a land with nothing? We don't even have our health. We don't have our strength. We don't have our wealth. We have nothing. And these people are still saying that I'm nation of Israel. We got about 500 to 600 people in purple outfits, and all of a sudden we're going to go take over. You're not going to do nothing without Yahweh. There will be no community outside of him. There will be no nation outside of him. There will be no victory outside of him. He's going to put a curse on anyone who does not listen and pay attention to the words that I've said of the covenant. He says, so that I can fulfill the oath that I swore to your ancestors and give them a land flowing with milk and honey as it is today. Then Jeremiah, who said this? Then I responded, Amen, Yahweh. That means this is true. Let it stand. This is sure. Yahweh said to me, proclaim, Vayikra, Kara, all these words in the city of Yehuda and in the streets of Jerusalem. He said this, listen to the words and obey them. For I have solemnly warned your ancestors at the time when I brought them out of the land of Mizraim until today, until this day, I have frequently warned them, listen to my voice. Well, we don't hear Elohim. In the beginning was the word, and the word was, no. You and I chose to hear Yahweh's voice through the prophets. We chose Moshe. Our ancestors chose him in the book of Deuteronomy, chapter number 18. Go read it for yourself. He said, you made a decision and you chose Yahweh to speak to you through me because you were afraid to listen to what he had to say, because you were afraid of hearing his voice. On that occasion, you chose that. And now that you've chosen it, now you don't want to listen. Now you say that he's not talking anymore. But what did they do? What did they do? But they have not. This is what this is about. They have not listened or paid attention. That paid attention is the Shema. They haven't given themselves wholeheartedly to me. They're not about my will. They don't care about their obligation and their duty and responsibility to me as the king of the universe. They have forsaken me and abandoned me, and what they have done is abandoned me and forgot about what I said. Instead, each one has lived according to the stubbornness of his own evil heart. Well, we're not doing that today. That was them. For this reason, I have brought upon them what? All the words of this covenant. What words of the covenant? What are you talking about, Yahweh? Which I ordered them to obey, which they did not obey. What are you talking about? Listen here. Yahweh has said this, and this was interesting that I found, and I want to share with you. I'm not trying to preach to you. I'm just passionate in telling you the facts. The facts is that we're a people who have been cursed, okay? Listen what he says in the book of Deuteronomy. Deuteronomy means, in Greek, okay, means this giving of the second commandments, okay? The repetition of the second commandments. Okay, which he gave to the children of Israel, which was the second generation after he killed the first generation. Okay, in chapter number 28, we're not going to read the whole thing. I'm going to read some of the things. The first 14 verses in chapter number 28 tell you about all the blessings. that, yeah, I'm going to do this for you, and I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do this, and you guys are going to be able to defeat your enemies and so forth and so on. On 15 all the way down to 68 is nothing but curses. And again, he opens it up with, but if you refuse to pay attention to what Yahweh Elohim says. Have you guys see the theme? It's always about what Yahweh says, and do not observe and obey all his commandments and regulations, which I'm giving you today, then all the following curses will be yours in abundance. Then he goes on to talk about all the things that he's going to do to them. You can read this on your own. You probably read it before. Okay. One of the parts that stuck out to me the most was this. And he tells them about eating their kids here too, by the way. But he says this in verse number 45. All these curses will come on you, pursuing you and overtaking you until you are destroyed. Why? Because you didn't pay attention. You did not shema to Yahweh. Okay. And doing what he said and observing his commandments and his regulations, which he gave you. You're bound to these things. A curse literally means as well. Let me write it up here right quick and just don't want to just say it. A curse also means to bind. Okay. So this is why you're kind of like locked in. Okay. You're locked in. Once Yah ties this to you, you're locked in. There's no way you can get out of it. There's no way for them not to be able to eat their kids. There was no way for anybody to stop the people coming their enemies. There was no way for them to fall from within. There was no way. There's no way. Once it's on you, it's on you. There's nothing you could do to get out of it. It's binding. That's why Yirmiyahu has said, Aman. It's really got an amen here. It's not, it's Aman. Okay. Meaning this is true. Let it be supported. This is what it is. It's for real. This is sure. Okay. The binding of what he's saying is going to be bound to a person. It's going to be binding. You're not going to get out of it. You understand? Because it's attached to the covenant. But he said this. He says, these curses will be on you and your descendants as a sign and a wonder forever. This forever doesn't mean until eternity. Okay. This means until it comes to its end. There's an end for this curse. That's the best part about it. There is an end for those who get unbound. Okay. And the reason why this happened, as you know, my favorite word again is because, and because means a cove, and it means the hill. It means on the hill of something, because, and you put the Yah in front of his Yaakov. That's what his name means too, because. Okay. This is a result of, like the weather changing, it's a result of. Okay. So this is reason because of this, because you didn't serve Yahweh, your Elohim, with joy and gladness in your heart when you had such an abundance of everything when you were where? Where was this abundance at? Where did they have this abundance?
In the land.
They had it in the land. Correct. That's why he said the curses are going to be in abundance, because on the scales of justice, just as much as Yah has given you, right? The expectation, if you don't go with the program, you're going to get just as much as you're supposed to get on the other end of the deal. Yahweh will send your enemy against you and you will serve him. You will look and you'll serve him when you're hungry, thirsty, and poorly clothed and lacking everything. You will put a yoke of iron on your neck until he destroys you. My joy and my gladness in heart was because they had zip and they had enthusiasm. And they had zeal for Yah. But then they got complacent. And when Shemitah came around, like you guys had mentioned, the 6 years, and then on the 7th is the Shemitah. I told you just a few weeks ago that the Shemitah and the time of rest was a time for you to go back through your family, and the Torah is supposed to be read on the Shemitah. And you're supposed to go ahead and go over that with your family and your kids, and you're supposed to bring everybody, the whole community is supposed to come together and listen to what Yahweh has to say. Well, what happened was they said, we're not going to listen to the Torah anymore. We have so much wealth and we have so much food and we have so much everything. We don't need to listen anymore. We've been sidetracked. Our eyes have been closed. Our wealth has taken the place of what Yahweh says, not understanding that the wealth that they had was connected to obedience to what Yahweh says, knowing where their wealth came from. So when Yah sent us here, it's to take away our wealth, to show us that I'm not with you. And it's not until you start listening to me and I can hear you crying out to me saying, I want to listen. I want to be back in the land. I don't want to be here anymore. So you and I are doing what we call making up for what we've done, saying, I'm changing my mind. I'm changing my heart, like he asked us to do in Deuteronomy chapter number 30. When these things come upon you and you start thinking about what's happened to you, you would then decide that I'm going to turn back to Yahweh and we're going to do exactly what he says. You and your family, you and your children. Now, I know it's difficult because a lot of us have children that are adults. And then you go talk to your child that are an adult now, and you're trying to get them to understand, and they're not listening. As a result of that, don't get your feelings hurt. Your child does not respect you, and they don't love you. Even when they were in their Christianity, now it's very evident and clear that they don't respect you. Before, you just didn't know it. But now that you're asking them what Yahweh says, you tell them what he says, and they're adults, and you're telling them what it is, and they still won't listen to what he says, they don't respect you. And by the way, they don't want to have nothing to do with Yah. They hate Yah. Yes, I told you today was not going to be nice. There are some people that have talking to their sons and their daughters, and they did listen. Because not only, this is my mom or this is my dad, they're telling me what it is, and they made the adjustments. They love their parents, they respect their parents, and they know that their parents are not trying to do anything to hurt them. So they'll fall in line with that. Go ahead, Koti.
Well, the New Testament teaches us not to follow our parents. Remember, it says, forsake your mother and your father to follow him. And so this whole society promotes people not respecting their parents. I'm guilty of that myself. And it's almost promoted. You see it in the movies. You see it in everything that our society has, where it says, it's almost expected when they become teenagers or, oh, well, they're just rebelling. Well, that's the Greek idea. That's the people who enslaved this idea. Our whole society or community is based on, hey, listen, don't do that. That's oppression. That's unclean. That's unjust. That's not right. Don't do that. Because if you do that, it leads to death. And death meaning, number one, you'll be separated from your Elohim. Number two, you'll be separated from your people. And eventually will be kicked out of the land. So when it comes to Yah saying, honor your mother and your father, it's much more deeper than just respecting and doing what I say. It's understanding that your mother and father, for the Israelite, is telling you about the Torah.
Yes, that's an excellent point. And I can piggyback on that, saying that you're absolutely 100% correct, that these are the behaviors that have been taught. But here's the bottom line, not to minimize or diminish anything that you said. The bottom line is this. If a parent is to tell a child or a young person something, the person who doesn't respond to the parent thinking that the parent does have bad intentions for them because they have their own mindset, that's not something that is going to be an excuse, though. Put it this way, the Creator has said, okay, there won't be any excuses about, well, I just didn't know, or I've been misled, or any of those things. By the Torah being presented to us, and I thank you for your contribution, the Torah being presented to us today, and let me make it clear, by the Torah being presented to us today and given to us, right? Yah says, in spite of everything that you've been taught, if you would listen to my voice, meaning the Torah, then you would fall in line with everything I said. It's about a choice of listening. That's why he always says, if, okay? So both the parent and the child, both their souls belong to me, which the soul that sinneth against me is the one that's going to die. He made that very clear, okay? So I'm saying this, the evidence of someone loving and caring like a child's supposed to be with a parent is the one who is going to respond in kind. Yah says, if you love me, Okay. You're going to respond to what I told you, because the Shema is to what? To love Yahweh. That's the Shema. Listening to Yahweh means loving Yahweh with all of your mind, with all of your soul, and with all of your strength, and understanding that he's one. That's what this is about. So the Shema goes deeper than just listening and hearing. It means that you're putting everything that he said into practice. But if you're not going to listen to what he says, okay, and you're going to make excuses on why you can't listen, or why or somebody's going to remain the same way, it's because of this and that, then unfortunately they're going to be in a bad situation. It's just what it is. He's not accepting anything less than you listening. That's what this whole Torah portion is about. He says, if you would listen, I would do this. If. And if you don't do it, this is what's going to happen. They made a choice. And as a result of that, that's why we're in these curses today, because obviously somebody didn't listen. Obviously, somebody didn't pay attention. Obviously, somebody didn't respect the Shabbat of the land. Obviously, they didn't keep the Shemitah. Obviously, they didn't treat the foreign and stranger right. Obviously, they didn't render any justice. That's what's apparent, and that's what's clear. And Yah's saying all those things have happened to you because you just wouldn't listen to what I said. And that's obey what I said and do what I said. That's what this is about. Because you did not serve Yahweh with joy and gladness in your heart. You got twisted, you got sideways with him. Okay? And listen to what he says in the book of Deuteronomy. Chapter number 9. Look how he opens it up. First thing he says is what? The first word that he says is listen. You listen, Yisrael. He said, you're about to cross the Jordan today and to go in and dispossess nations greater and stronger than you. Great cities fortified up to the sky, people great, tall, the Anakim, who you know about and whom you have heard is said, who can stand before the descendants of Enoch. Therefore, understand today that Yahweh your Elohim will himself cross ahead of you as a devouring fire. He will destroy them and bring them down before you. Thus, you will drive out them and cause them to perish quickly, as Yahweh has said to you. Now, think of this. Now, listen to this. Don't think to yourself, after Elohim has pushed them out ahead of you, it is to reward my righteousness that Yahweh has brought me in to take possession of this land. No, it is because these nations have been so wicked that Yahweh is driving them out ahead of you. It is not because of your righteousness or because your heart is so right that you go in and take possession of the land, but to punish the wickedness of these nations that Yahweh your Elohim is giving you, or driving them out ahead of you. And also to confirm, I'm going to confirm the word which Yahweh what? Swore unto your ancestors, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. So you can see that Yah is saying, listen, even in the book of Ezekiel, I'm not doing this for your sake, Israel, chapter number 36. I'm not doing this for your sake, Israel. I'm not going to rescue and save you because you were so upright. I'm going to do it because I said I was going to do it. We don't deserve him, to be honest. But he says, guess what? I swore a covenant. I swore an oath. I swore myself in my name to Abraham, Yitzhak, and Yaakov. Therefore, understand that this is not for your righteousness, that Yahweh is giving you this good land to possess, for you're a stiff-necked people. Then he goes on to talk about how Yahweh was angry with them and he was going to destroy them. Okay. Why? Well, that's for them. That's not really for us. Okay. Let me bring us somewhere else. I want you to go to Jeremiah chapter number 30. No, chapter number 16. Jeremiah chapter number 16. Go there. Jeremiah. Where are we at? Jeremiah. Here you are. What is Yah communicating to us? He's communicating great things. Okay. Let's see. Okay, here it is. Let's start right here in verse number 10. When you tell the people all that I have said, okay, he's telling Jeremiah to go tell the people everything he said. They'll ask you, why has Yahweh decreed all this terrible disaster against us? Because that's the question we would have about why these curses that are going to be on us for as a sign forever. Why would he allow us to eat our own kids? Why would he destroy us and take everything away from us? What is our iniquity and what is our sin? Our iniquity here means what is our perversion? What is our twistedness? Our sin is what are the marks that we did not hit? You know, we didn't hit the goal. What is it that we've done? What is it that we have committed against Yahweh, our Elohim? Then you are to say to them, it is because your ancestors abandoned me, says Yahweh, and they went after other gods, serving and worshiping them, but abandoned me and did not keep my Torah. This is the reason why everything bad has ever happened to us. So common sense would tell you, if this is the reason why all these bad things have happened to us, what should we go back to? When he talks about abandoning, they forsook me. They let it go. They let me go. And what is it? He says, you have done worse than your ancestors. Look, each one of you lives according to the stubbornness of his own evil heart, which he told us over in Jeremiah chapter number 11. He's repeating the same thing. Why? So that you don't listen to me. You're not listening to me. You're making excuses. You're not listening to me. You're rationalizing why you can't do what I told you. You're not listening to me. You're adding to what I said. You're not listening to me. You're taking away what I said. You're not listening to me. Yes, Koti.
So I was listening to someone, Amore, the other day, and he was talking about how if we go places and other people they speak other languages, it's like they could speak to each other and they have like upper hand on us because they could speak to each other without, us knowing what they're talking about, which gives them an advantage. And he was saying that when we don't know the Hebrew and we haven't learned the Hebrew, how can we listen to Elohim if we're listening through somebody else's interpretation?
That's a great point. That's
so
excellent. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was just thinking as a people, it should be our priority to learn the Lashon Kodesh, because if we don't, that's what's going to make us a people again, is that we are able to communicate and to listen and hear from Yah directly, right? Without the interpretation.
Yes, and a lot of people don't put emphasis on the language because they're saying that it's Ashkenazi or it's this or that, but they don't understand that the biblical Hebrew is not Ashkenazi. The Ashkenazis have taken the biblical Hebrew and created their own modern language off of it. Okay, so it's the Semitic language. It's our language. It's our culture. Okay, so when Yah's telling us about love, and he's not giving an abstract terms. He's talking about how it works within the home. When he talks about Shema, he's not talking about just a person hearing. That's abstract. He's really talking about obedience and the breath of you. So if Yah says that you've heard what I've said, if you respect Yah and you respect his name, you respect the essence of him and who he is and his character, you're going to fall in line. Go ahead, Akoti.
Yes, I just wanted to, what Akoti just said there, I was writing an article for my husband and I's website, and it was on Leviticus 19 and 17 about hate. And when I went and I looked it up Hebraically, I think it's pronounced Saw-Nay. Yes, and I saw what it meant, like the pictograph is a seed with a thorn through it. And when I saw the definition of hate in Hebrew means to stay away from, it just changed everything. It changed my whole perspective of my article, and it really became a part of it kind of changed my life, because I saw how we practice it towards the Most High. I
Yes.
saw how we practice it towards, one another, we're always running towards something else. We don't value what we have, we choose other gods over the Most High, and we don't listen to Him. We run from His word. We run from His Torah. There's not a people on earth more excited when you tell them the law is no more than our people. Run around church screaming like it's like somebody, like they hit the jackpot,
Yeah.
And it all goes back to that word, which is, I don't know. It just changed a lot for me knowing that word. So I just wanted to add.
That's an excellent example, and thank you for that, because the truth is that word "sane" does hate, and hate in abstract means, oh, I hate you. No, in Hebrew it means to put distance. The thorn bush means I'm going to stay away from it. So when Yah says, if you hate me and you loathe me, he says, you really believe that I'm doing something to harm you. I'm not trying to harm you. I'm trying to have you live in a way that makes your life more productive and more fruitful. See, the listen when he's letting us know. And it's when we put distance between Yah and the Torah and us and ourselves in our life, in the way that we eat, in the way that we dress, in the way that we talk to each other, in the way that we manage our homes, in the way that we conduct our business, in the way that we treat our bodies. Yah says, if you do anything against that, you're against life. You're against life. Like Yah is talking about, the Torah is your life. You understand? It's the ingredient that we need in order to succeed. Yah's trying to, as bad as it hurts and as terrible as it is, Yah is telling us separation for me means death for you. That's what it means. It means that you don't have no continuation. It means that if you were in a cycle, you're out of the cycle now. If it means that you're part of the blessing, you're out of the blessing. If it means that you're having children, I'm ceasing that. I'm putting an end to that. I'm putting an end to that. I'm going to put an end to anything that brings you joy. Do you understand that the only joy that you and I should have is that which Yah puts in front of us? We can't even find joy in our own house anymore. You can't find joy nowhere. You should be able to find it within yourself, and then you can be able to find it within your family. Then you can find it within the community. But guess what? We have robbed ourselves. It is all because we didn't want to listen to what he said. We didn't want to obey what he said. We don't want to follow his will. We don't want to do what he says. We don't want to live up to the responsibility of being his children. He told us, I made you for myself. And because these heathens have told us that, you could do whatever you want to do and he's still going to love you, you and I have now forsaken the covenant. Go ahead, Kwa.
Yeah, it's a lie. It's a complete lie. And it's like now we have to turn back to the Torah. It's very simple, but I don't understand why our people get caught up with this interceder, someone to that's going to pay it all for you. What is that about? I mean, at this point.
Well, I know what you're trying to say there, sister. Is it that Ripqua? Is that your name? Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, if you follow the Lord's prayer that says that our Father which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done.
They want you and I to let somebody else perform Yahweh's will instead of you and I performing his will. Look at that prayer. Our Father, which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread. They don't want the will to be done except for through him. He's saying, my will for you is that for you to do what I told you on the earth. You only have this one shot. This is it. The life that you and I have right now is to do what he wants. And that's going to take some discipline. That's going to take some breaking down. That's going to take some evaluation. That's going to take some discipline. That's going to take some acknowledgement. That's going to take some, I'm sorry. That's going to take some removal. That's going to take a lot of different things. You understand? But Yahweh says that you and I have forsaken him. We've forsaken the Torah. They wouldn't listen to him. Verse 12, and you have done worse. This is bad news. Nobody likes to hear it. You've done worse than your ancestors. Look, each of you lives according to the stubbornness of his own evil heart, so that you won't listen to me. Verse 11, what did it say? They wouldn't listen to me. Verse 12, they won't listen to me. What have we been hearing all day? You won't listen to me. You won't listen to me. You won't listen to me. I sent people to you. You won't listen to me. Because you have your own stubbornness of your own evil heart. Now, if we all want to be honest, and we all want to be completely transparent, you and I both know there's things about us that we have never given to Yah. We're bent in making excuses and rationalizing why we haven't done what he said. Okay, I'll share something with you. I said it before, but I'll say it again because it keeps reminding me. When I found out that if I abandon the Torah, then it means I'm abandoning him. And then if I abandon study of the Torah, that means that I'm not interested in him. That's how tough it is. And I've been whining and complaining about my life changing over the last 2 years because now I'm completely 100% disabled. And I asked the creator, like, okay, I'm not working, right? I don't get to participate in anything. And he brought to my attention that I allowed this to happen to you. And I'm like, okay, why? Because you are supposed to learn the Torah. And if you weren't in the condition that you're in right now, you're probably the one who wouldn't learn it. You wouldn't learn the Torah. Yah had to literally do something to me in order to cause me to be in an active mode of studying the Torah and accepting it as part of my life. A lot of people envy me for this, say, well, you got all the time in the world to study the Torah. You know, you spend hours and hours and hours and hours, you know, and you should be really excited about that because you get all the time, you know. I'm not excited about having my life crushed and broken. I am excited about the Torah, though, okay? We have to be able to understand that Yah's going to bring you through certain things in your life in order to bring you to the Torah. For me, it was being disabled. For you, it might be something totally different. You understand? But there won't be no excuses. You and I cannot abandon him. Abandonment of him is not the study of Torah. That's what he's letting us know. When he talks about you abandon me, he said, hey, didn't keep my Torah. That's abandonment right there. So if you're not reading your Torah portion, you are literally saying, I can consider it worthless. I know it's going to hurt a little bit. It's going to make you wince a little bit. What? Yeah, I told you that, and I mean it. If you're not studying the Torah, you're abandoning and you're a traitor. You are, because you don't get it. You don't consider it worthy of your time. But you'll watch, you know, movies, and you'll go to different shows, and you'll listen to all kind of, you know, talk programs, and ain't nobody, you'll watch the news, you'll know what's going on in the world, but you don't know what's going on with your people. Go ahead, Kwa.
Yeah, it's because we're not Christians.
Go ahead.
We're educated well. What it comes with fearing Yah, wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. And so our children, that's why we need to teach them the Torah. That's why we have to teach them the Hebrew. That's why we need to teach them, and that's why we need to learn it, because otherwise we have an opportunity to become the head again, and we're not going to become the head if we only know half the story. If we only know we have to know the language. We have to. I've come to that conclusion, because if we don't, it doesn't. The language is what holds us together as a people.
Boy, what you're saying is that we can generate fear in Yah by study. Yes.
By wisdom, knowledge, and understanding.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
That I contend that language is important and it gives us understanding, but it doesn't make you. I don't know. I still don't believe it's salvational. I believe salvation is loving Yah, the Most High, and wanting Him with all your heart and soul, and that may mean different things for different people. I just don't like putting blankets on certain things. As an educator, for some people, Torah has meant that they've really sat down and they've really learned to read for the first time. I mean, I've been with people and watched them like have a second grade reading level and find out who we are, and really seeing them work and struggle to bring their reading levels up and things like that. So the Most High is going to judge our hearts and deem us worthy. Yeah, all of us. I truly believe that. I believe he'll have the criteria. So all praises.
Oh, thanks. That's a good point, and thank you for that. I think what Rivqua was bringing out the point about the language, Koti, is the fact that, for example, based on what you've spoken about, the word hate. Hate is an abstract term, and so the mindset. I think this is the point that she was trying to make, is the mindset of a person who speaks English is different than the word or the Hebrew mindset. So when you have these abstract mindset versus this concrete mindset, the words make people think a certain thing, right? And so, for example, your word hatred, it would bring out the clarity that, listen, this is not where I'm abstractly hating you based on what you look like, what all these types of things. I'm talking is actionable, which means I'm going to put distance. So, for example, a lot of people I'm going to answer your question here in a second, let you speak, Akotia Ripqua. When people talk about, for me, I'm a Hebrew teacher, right? And I teach the Hebrew. When I'm teaching them the Hebrew, I'm trying to let them understand that if you don't know, and this is just my assessment, if you don't know how something was said and in what context it was said, and if I can learn, they turn around and change Yah's name, right, to Adonai, when the only difference is between Adonai and Yahweh is a significant difference. Excuse me. There's a significant difference between Adonai and Yahweh. Adonai just means master, right? But they can take the time to learn how to say Adonai, or they can take the time to say Yeshua, but they can't take the time, and they refuse to say, I'm going to call him by his name. I'm going to call him by Yohe-Wahe. I'm going to call him Yahweh, or pronunciations are not it, but the essence of it. So the language itself, the Hebrew language, is a living language. So the Lashon HaKodesh is living. And this is the reason why I believe it's important, it's imperative. I agree that it's not salvational, because I just said not too long ago that it's not based upon any righteousness, it's not based on your educational level, it's not based, but it will be very helpful and useful for us to understand our language, because our language has to do with our culture. Go ahead, Akoti, reply.
Oh yes, all praises. Yeah, humbly, I was just trying to make the point. Also, because when we did have classes and we were teaching our children the Hebrew and the Torah for the very first time, I noticed the discrepancy in our children and the nation's children. The nation's children at 5 or 6 were able to write their name, were doing things, and I saw that, as a people, that Torah and Hebrew is something that that was taken from us as a people, from our culture and as our development, as we're going back to that. I was just saying that it's an emphasis for the young, because they will absorb it so much faster, and it'll help us. It gives us a guideline again as a people. The language is essential. That's all I was just emphasizing, because the Ashkenaz, they spent great effort and time in educating their youth, and that's what makes them strong, because it goes from one generation to the next. And if we continue to not acknowledge that we have to educate our own, then like you said, as an educator, part of our education is not only our history, but it has to be our language.
Which goes in, great point, which has to do with the culture. I'm gonna move on from that point to bring us to the last part of our lesson today, which is found in the book of Jeremiah. When Yah was going to tell us some things, I think I mentioned this before, where he said that I'm going to let you know what the situation is with you guys. And often we don't get a chance to see these things. And I don't know, through our studies, it's hard because we're trying to put all the pieces together because we don't know, hey, did he say it this time, or, did he mean it this time? Was that applicable to us, because he was saying it to them or whatever. So I think what it is in Jeremiah and is in Ezekiel. Oh, it's in Ezekiel. Okay, let's go there. Ezekiel chapter number 39. All right, so Ezekiel chapter number 39, this will be a great reference for you in the future, where you would be able to share with someone some of these ideas behind where our situation is and what our future is going to look like. Okay, so chapter number 39 says this, and we're going to start right here in the first part of this chapter deals with Gog and Magog, a future prophecy about what Yahweh was going to do. And then the last part of it is we're going to start in verse number 21. Okay. Verse 21 says this: thus will I display my glory among the nations. Okay. He's talking about when he's going to come back and deal with the nations. He says, so that all the nations will see my judgment when I execute it in my hand, when I lay it on them. Yah has determined that he's going to deal with the nations. He told Jeremiah that I'm going to put an end to them, all of them, okay? And I'm going to spare some of Israel. And he says, from that day on, listen, from that day on, the house of Israel will know that I'm Yahweh, their Elohim. What he's letting us know is, like, the children of Israel, they didn't really know who Yahweh was until they started seeing the things that he would do. He doesn't want us to believe anything, okay? What he wants us to do is to know. He wants us to know him. Remember, he said, I didn't make myself known to your ancestors, is this, but now I have revealed myself to you, and I made myself known to you. In the book of Amos, chapter number 3, he says, I don't know any other family of the earth. I only know you intimately. So here Yah says, from that day on, the house of Israel know that I'm Yahweh, their Elohim. While the Goim, the nations, will know that the house of Israel went into exile because of their guilt, because they broke faith with me, so that I hid my face from them and handed them over to their adversaries, and they fell by the sword, all of them. So in connection to any type of exile that Yah has ever sent Israel into, he's always letting everybody know that I have sent them into exile because of their guilt. Not because I wanted to, because of their guilt. I did it because they broke faith with me. Okay. And also part of the exile experience is I will hide my face from them and hand them over to their adversaries. And that's exactly what's happened to us. So when someone talks about Yah being with them as an individual, I get that. But what you need to understand is Yah is always talking about the house of Israel. He's not talking about individuals. He's talking about the house of Israel. He's talking about the whole family. That, listen, I handed them over to their adversaries, and I've hidden my face from them. So if you and I are in the hands of our enemies, then you should know that Yah's face has never been turned to you. Yah's not turning his face to us right now. Yah turning his face towards us means that Yah is blessing us. Do you understand? I want to make it clear. Does anyone have any questions about that? I don't want you to leave the class today thinking I'm trying to get you to think something that's not true. The only way that Yah turns his face to us is when he's blessing us. Yah says that I'm going to rejoice to see you do good. I will rejoice to see you do good. But right now, my face is not for you. Okay. It's against you. Like, you turn against me, I'm still against you, even while you're in the place of your enemies until a certain time. Okay. So right now, it says this. It says that I hid my face from them and I handed them over to their adversaries, and they fell by the sword, all of them. Yes. What did he say? He said, I treated them. You want to know how Yah has treated us? He said, I treated them as their uncleannesses and crimes deserved. I hid my face from them. Second time he said it. While they're what? In exile. Anybody have a question? I hear some feedback. Therefore.
Yeah, I have.
Go ahead.
I have a question.
Absolutely. Go ahead.
You were talking about blessing us and his face turning toward us, or not toward us.
Uh,
My question is how are we measuring what a blessing is? I mean, having a new car is not necessarily a blessing.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's an excellent question, Ak. So the answer to that question will be found in the book of, and I'm glad you mentioned that, and we'll just go there. No worries. I want to answer that question. So let's go there. So when we go to the book of Deuteronomy and we go to chapter number 7, you can write this down. Yah gives us a list of things to let us know that he's blessing us. And this is not the only place, but it's here. He said this. Yahweh says, Yahweh Elohim is going to bring you into the land, okay? And he says, when you enter, you're going to take possession of, and he will expel the many nations ahead of you, the Gergashi and the Kanani, and the Perizi, the Kiwi, and the Yavusi, the 7 nations who are stronger and greater than you, okay? And he tells them, he says, when he does this, Yahweh, your Elohim, hands them over ahead of you. You are to defeat them. You are to destroy them completely. Do not make any covenant with them. Show them no mercy, okay? Then he goes on to talk about don't intermarry with them, but that's not the point I want to bring out. What he says here is, okay. Well, I think 7 is important. It says Yahweh didn't set his heart on you or chose you because you outnumbered more than these other people. On the contrary, you were the fewest of all peoples. Rather, it's because Yahweh loved you and because he wanted to keep his oath, which he swore to your ancestors. Our theme, that Yahweh brought you out with a strong hand and redeemed you from a life of slavery under the hand of Pharaoh, the king of Egypt. And for this, and from this, you can know that Yahweh, your Elohim, is indeed Elohim. By what? The faithful Elohim, who keeps his covenant and extends grace to those who love him and observe his commandments to 1,000 generations. But he repays those who hate him to their face, and he destroys them. He will not be slow to deal with someone who hates him. Okay. And Akoti Anzanya said, hate is distance, and someone puts their self some distance between themselves and Yah. He says, but he will repay him to his face. Therefore, you are to keep his commandments, laws, and rulings which I'm giving today, and obey them. Now, this is where the blessing is. Because you're listening, our operative word for our Torah portion today, or in our teaching, if you're listening to these rulings and keeping them, guarding them, and obeying them, doing them, Yahweh will keep faith with you. Okay, so he will keep with you the covenant and mercy that he swore to your ancestors. If you notice, it's always about the ancestors. And listen, he will love you, bless you, and increase your numbers. That's the blessing. If you look at Genesis chapter number 1, verse number 28, he told the humanity, and he told all the birds of the air and everybody, be fruitful and multiply. That's the blessing. He blessed them. And that's what blessing is. Blessing is to increase the numbers of a community. Okay. Blessing is the fruit of your body, which is your babies. Okay. And the seed from a man to put into the woman to be able to put it into her land to bring forth the fruit. The fruit of your ground will be blessed. And I'm going to tell you what that blessing is: your grain, your wine, your olive oil, and your young cattle and your sheep in the land that he swore to your ancestors that he will give you. You will be blessed more than all other peoples. There will not be a sterile male or female among you, and the same with your livestock. The blessing also will, Yah will remove all illnesses from you. The curses is, I'm going to put all the illnesses on you. Okay. And he will not afflict you. That's the blessing with any of Egypt's dreadful diseases: diabetes, boils, itch, scurvy, fever, any of those things, which you have known. Instead, he will lay them on those who hate you. Okay. So those are the blessings that Yah was talking about. The blessing of Yahweh are that they are connected to the land. They're not a car. They're not this house in this place. There's none of these things. Everything over here is unclean. Okay, so the blessing for us is only going to be found. The blessing that Yah has guaranteed for us appertains to the land. Go. You have a question?
No.
Do you guys understand that? It's right here. Your blessings is increasing your numbers. When Yah talks about the blessings in chapter number 28, it's the same identical thing about increasing your numbers. That's what Yah's interested in. He's not interested in not increasing our numbers. The blessing is to increase the numbers of the descendants. So if you have descendants, you're blessed. Listen, if you listen today, listen. Isn't this what we're hearing? If
if you would listen, if you listen closely to what Yahweh your Elohim says, observing and obeying all his commandments, which I'm giving you today, Yahweh your Elohim will raise you high above all the nations on the earth. You're the lowest of the nations today. All the following blessings will be yours in abundance. So outside of what he's saying here, there is no blessing. Go ahead, Carl.
If we multiply and are fruitful, and we have taught our children the Torah, then the world will be full of Torah.
Be full of Torah. Blessing.
Yeah, a blessing. Yeah. In
So
the
here are
whole
these
world,
blessings.
because if we're fruitful, it's going to multiply. And eventually, that's what they don't want. Because remember, in Egypt, what did the Pharaoh say? He said they're going to overtake us.
Yes.
If we're fruitful and multiply.
We got to get rid of their numbers. So all the following blessings will be yours in abundance. If you will do what Yahweh says. Do you guys get it? So some of these Christians and some of these rabbis and some of these Christians are going around saying, well, we're doing the Torah right now, so we're blessed. Things are going good for us. No, I don't. I had to redefine what Yah has done for us. Yah has shown you and I mercy. If you have good health right now, that's mercy. If you have a house, somewhere to live, that's mercy and that's compassion. Okay. The blessings are connected to the promise of the land. And if you are not interested in this is the reason why so many people are not going back to the land, because they believe the blessings they have right here. They don't want to go back. Therefore, they are not turning back to Yahweh. Therefore, they're not listening to what he says because they don't want this. Our ancestors had an opportunity to go into the land and they said they didn't want it. They came back with an evil report about the land. Yah put us out of the land. Your blessing will be in the city and it will be a blessing on you in the countryside. Where? The fruit of the land. What else am I going to give you? What else am I going to bless? I'm going to bless the fruit of your body. We don't want that. You want the fruit of your bank account. I'm going to bless the fruit of your land. You don't want that. You want to stay in your condominium and you want to go to the basketball games. I'm going to bless the fruit of your livestock, like he said over in Deuteronomy chapter number 7. Like he said in Leviticus 26. I'm going to bless the young cattle in your flocks. I don't have any cattle and flocks. You will if you go back to the land so you can make those offerings to Yahweh. I'm going to bless the grain of your basket and your kneading bowl. We don't got a basket. Yah says that's the blessing I'm giving. I'm going to bless you when you go out and when you go out and when you're coming in. I'm going to put a blessing on you. I'm going to make you the blessed people above all nations. Yahweh will cause your enemies attack you to be defeated before you. That's a blessing. That's under the headline of a blessing. Well, what did he say? What's going on today? They're walking in and shooting you in the grocery store. You've been shot and you're already going to die and they still blow your brains out. They will advance on you one way and you will flee before them 7 ways. Yahweh will order a blessing to be with you on your barns and in everything you undertake. He will bless you in the land. He will bless you in the land. He will bless you in the land that he's giving you. Yahweh will establish you as a people separated out for himself. That's a blessing. As he's sworn to you, operative word, if you will observe the commandments of Yahweh your Elohim and follow his ways, then all the people of the earth will see that Yahweh's name, his presence is with you. Then you talking about he's with me. I have the Spirit of God. He's with me. You're a lie. His presence is not with you. His name is not on you right now. As the earth, as the people of the earth have declared you and I as his people, have they identified and said, these are the blessed seed of Yahweh according to the book of Isaiah? They have never said it. They ridicule us and they call us all kind of names. And we're the laughing stock of every joke that they have. Because we don't have a culture. We don't have a language. We don't have traditions. We don't have nothing. You have no land. You have no blessing. But you let the Christians tell it to you, you're blessed. You let the Christians tell you, he's with me. We have a spirit. You let the rabbis that want to believe that he's with them in the land of Israel. He's not with them. Because these people of the earth are the ones who are going to testify to the fact that Yahweh is with you and that his presence is with you, so that they will be afraid of you. Ain't nobody afraid of you. If ain't nobody afraid of you, you ain't blessed. If ain't nobody running from you, you ain't blessed. If 5 of you can't chase 100, you're not blessed. If you don't have a basket to bring Yahweh an offering, you're not blessed. Yeah, that's right. That's what he said. Yahweh will give you great abundance of good things, the fruit of your body, the fruit of your livestock, the fruit of your land, in the land that he swore to your ancestors to give you. What else is a blessing? I will open up his good treasure, the sky, to give your land, not the land of your captives, your land, its rain at the right seasons that we talked about in our Torah portion this week, and bless you. Bless everything you undertake. You will lend to many nations and not borrow. That's a blessing. Yahweh will make you the head and not the tail. That's a blessing. You will only be above if you're blessed and never below. If you will listen and observe and obey the commandments of Yahweh your Elohim and not turn away from any of the words I'm ordering you today, neither to the left or to the right, to follow other gods and serve them. You have been lied to. And it causes us to go to sleep. It causes us to never think about what I need to do to change this outcome. But listen what he says. Yahweh says that because, yes, I treated them as their uncleanness and crimes deserve. Yeah, I hid my face from them. Therefore, Yahweh Elohim says this, now I will restore the fortunes of Yaakov and have compassion on the entire house of Israel. That's including all 12 tribes. So his face is turned against us, like he told us, not only here, but he told us this in Leviticus chapter number 26. You go against me, I'm going to turn my face against you. Yes, Ozanya.
Yes, a lot of people always ask, what are our blessings here? When you tell them that the Most High is not with us here, what are our blessings here? And from what I can see, according to Scripture, is that we're going to be rescued out of here, that we're going to get to go back to the land. That's what our blessings are for returning to the Most High. That's it.
Yes. He's telling us you and I need to make a distinction and a difference between him and them. If you can't see that you're not in your land and you can't see that he's not with you and you think he's with you, you're sadly mistaken, and you still don't know that your ancestors went against him. You're still in this imaginary world. You're still playing what they would call dumb, as if you didn't do anything wrong. You would still think you're not being punished for your crimes. He said, I punished them for their crimes. Did we just not read what he said? Verse 24, I treated them as their uncleanness and their crimes deserved. You and I are the descendants and the recipients of the things that our ancestors did. We're facing the consequences. And when we go around saying we're blessed and he's this and he's that and he's with me and all this kind of stuff, you're negating the fact that you're saying that you're not under the curse. You are under the curse until the curse is taken off. They will bear. Let me finish in 25. Forgive me, Yahweh. The entire house, not part of it, not an individual, not one family, the whole entire house. The whole family of Israel, folks. I will be jealous for my holy name because I made a promise to their fathers They will bear. You understand me? You're going to have to carry the shame that I told you when I put that curse on you. I said, I'm going to publicly denounce you in front of everybody. Just like you shame me in front of all the nations, I'm going to shame you now. You disrespected me and insulted me to my face. I'm going to put you out there and people are going to disrespect you. And they're going to run over you. They're going to take advantage of you. They're going to oppress you. They're going to plunder you and they're going to destroy you because you didn't have any regard and respect for my covenant. And you're going around telling people that I'm with you. And you're going around telling people that you're blessed. How could you be blessed and cursed at the same time? Still, you don't have any respect for my name. I told you you're cursed. I told you you're going to bear the shame and the consequences and the guilt for breaking faith with me. Once you're living securely in your land, in their land, no one will make them afraid. That's salvation. They're not going to be afraid when they go back to the land. They're not going to be afraid when they have food to eat. Everybody around there is scattered and running right now, today, talking about there's a food shortage coming. What are we going to do? But Elohim is with you. He's with us. Are you serious? Who's really playing a game? Who's really being honest? Who's really just being straight up? See, that's that religion. That's that stuff that these people have been taught us, that you can run your mouth, okay, and you can say things that are not true and expect everybody else to believe it because they keep saying it over and over and over again. How is it that you and I are blessed and we're bearing consequences and shame? How is it that you can't even give a civil rights bill to protect you from being killed by police officers? There's people who are sworn to protect you. How is it that you're still on the Constitution of the United States of America considered 3/5 of a person? How is it? How is it that you own less than 1% of all the wealth of this wonderful country that you live in? Tell me. I just want to know. We got to stop lying and start listening, okay? The bottom line is, he says this. This will be after I brought them back from the peoples and gathered them out of their enemies' lands, thereby being consecrated. Yah will be consecrated when I bring them back. I'm going to be consecrated through them in the sight of many nations. This is the whole reason why I'm going to make a separation between them and the rest of the world. So the whole entire world will know that, hey, I did this to them because they broke faith with me. And if you break faith with me and you keep doing what you're going to do, I'm going to send something to you too. Verse number 28, then they will know. What? Then, after I do something, what? Bring them back. That I'm Yahweh, their Elohim. Then you'll know that I'm your Elohim. Since I was who caused them to go into exile. I'm the one who caused this. And it was I who regathered them to their own land. I will leave none of them there anymore. And I will no longer hide my face from them. He's hiding his face from us until he gathers us to bring us back to our own land that he swore to our fathers, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. And there's nothing that you and I can say that can change this. He says, listen to my voice. I told you I will no longer hide my face from them. Why? For I have poured out my spirit on the house of Israel. The house of Israel will receive the spirit of Yah when he brings them back out from their exile. He tells us over and over and over and over again. But that's not enough. So what we'll do is we'll go to Ezekiel chapter number 37 and we'll read what he says. In closing, Yah says this, 21, then say to them,
Yahweh Elohim says, I will take the people of Israel from among the nations where they have gone and gather them from every side and bring them back to their own land. I will make them one nation in the land. On the mountains of Israel, one king will be king for all of them. They will no longer be two nations. They will never again be divided into two kingdoms. They will never again defile themselves with their idols, their detestable things, or any of their transgressions, but I will save them from all the places where they have been living and sinning, and I will cleanse them so that they will be my people, and I will be their Elohim. Concretely meaning that only way that the world is going to know that we're his people is when he brings us back home. The only way that we're going to know that he's our Elohim is when he delivers us. My servant David will be king over them, and all of them will have one shepherd, and they will live by my rulings and keep and observe my regulations. They will live in the land. They will live in the land that I gave to Yaakov, my servant, where their ancestors lived. They will live there, they, their children, their grandchildren, forever. And David, my servant, will be their leader forever. And I will make a covenant of peace with them, an everlasting covenant of peace. I will give to them, increase their numbers like I've been telling you, and set my sanctuary, my Mishkani, among them forever. Bring it in. My home will be with them. I will be their Elohim, and they will be my people. As I told you, when his Mishkan is with us, he considers us his people. And the world will know that he's our Elohim. The nations will know. I'm doing it so the nations will know that I'm Yahweh, who sets Israel apart as holy when my sanctuary is with them forever, because the nations are going to see when Yahweh has gathered his people back to himself, the people who have turned their back on him. Stop lying to yourselves. Stop using this vernacular, I'm blessed. You sound just like those Christians and those Hebristians and those people playing games with the Torah. You and I should say, I'm cursed. I'm cursed right now, and I'm not happy about it. And I want some changes to be made, and I'm going to make some differences, and I'm going to change my ways and my thoughts, and I'm going to work my way back to being in Yah's favor. I want you to turn your face back to me, Yahweh. I want you to forgive our ancestors for their crimes and their sins. But if I'm running around saying I'm blessed, I'm not acknowledging what we've done. Do you know that he's waiting for us to say that we're sorry? He's waiting for somebody to say they're sorry. He's waiting for someone to take him serious and say, I want the job. I want to do why you created me. I want to live up to the expectation now. I'm tired of making excuses. I want something different. I don't want to be part of this place. I don't want to set my home here. I don't want to be like them. I want to be kadosh. And I don't want nobody to tell me that I can't keep the Sabbath. I don't want nobody to tell me that I can't make an offering. I don't want nobody to tell me that I can't take this fruit of basket that you provided and give you thanks and praise. I don't want nobody to tell me that somebody else died for my sins. I want to be responsible for my actions and behavior and my conduct in the manner in life in which I chose to live. Stop playing games. Stop lying to yourself. Stop hiding secrets. Learn the Torah. Learn about your culture. Learn about your language. You don't have to be an expert in Hebrew. Find out a couple of words. Find out how to say I need. I. Tell Yahweh, I need ahavata. I love you. If that's all you need to say, then say it. But say something. Love for Hebrew doesn't mean the same love as English. It doesn't mean the same. Love in English is abstract. It can be anything. You can't put your finger on it. Your culture and love is saying, I'm looking towards the house. Yeah, well, I'm looking towards your home. I'm looking towards your family. I'm looking towards my brothers and sisters. I'm looking towards my wife. I'm looking towards my husband. Change me who I am. Change my constitution. Give me something different. I don't like what we've been through. When we deny that what we've been through and we deny what our ancestors have been through, and we won't apologize for them or ourselves, like he told us in Leviticus chapter number 26, you and I have to confess and admit that they went against him. And then you and I have gone against them because that's what we've been taught. So stop playing games. Go ahead, Akoti.
That's breaking that mental slavery. That's what Christianity is.
Yes. That's all it is. That's what they've been doing to us. They brainwashed us. You understand? He didn't reveal his name to us so you and I can go around and not live up to that. What is Yahweh? I tell you what he is. He said, I'm Elohim. He said, I'm compassionate. I'm merciful. I'm full of grace and truth. I show grace to the thousands of the generations that love me and keep my commandments. But I will not exonerate the guilty. I will cause the negative effects of the parents' sins to be done unto the children to the third and fourth generation of those who hate me. This is not a game. This is for real. This is talking about your life. And if you're not interested in going back to the land and you're just interested in having your little blessings here and you want to be here and feel like you really mean something to these people, then you're confused. You don't understand it. And the sad part is when you get out to the wilderness and Yah says whether or not you really had a whole heart, he's going to find out. He's going to find out if you were real for real. So this is not, let me coddle you into coming to Yahweh. Yah speaks to us with a very firm voice. Yah puts that rod on us. And I'm going to correct you. You heard it. He said, I'm going to hit you 7 times. You still won't listen. I'm doing it again and again and again and again and again. If that still won't get your attention, why does he got to hit us so much? Because we're a stubborn people and we're rebellious. Stop going around saying you're blessed because you're not. You ain't blessed. It's called mercy. It's called compassion. Some good things, but our blessings are attached to the land because we cannot be blessed until we go back and receive what Yah promised our fathers. And if we want to keep ignoring that, then you deny Abraham and his work. You deny that he was walking in front of Yah perfectly. We deny our ancestors when we behave in the way that we've been acting. Our ancestors did what he said. You and I can do it. There ain't no excuses. These Christians around here telling you don't have capacity, they're a lie. You could do well. You don't have to lie. You don't have to steal. You don't have to cheat. You don't have to commit adultery. You could be honest. You could get a scale and be right. You could give somebody what they deserve. Do you understand? This is what it is because we're drawing closer and closer and closer to Yah. I told you the intensity of the studies are going to get more intense and he's going to crush us and tear us down until you and I say, I'm sorry. Don't live on the stubbornness of your own evil heart and don't think that you got it together because you got a job. Don't you dare start thinking like that. You have a destiny. You have a fortune that's laying, waiting for you. And don't you abandon and don't you forsake it. That's your teaching today. Yah loves us, but he's going to be firm with us and he's striking us to let us know. If you go against me, I'm going to curse you. I'm going to curse you. Deuteronomy chapter number 27, the last verse says this. You can read it on your own. It says, curses anybody who doesn't lift up the Torah, who doesn't raise it up, kum, who doesn't lift it up. The Hebrew is to lift it up, to exalt it, to make it stand. If you laying down on the Torah and you're not doing what you need to do, you're cursed. You're cursed. So get your life together. Stop playing games. Be honest with yourself. Challenge yourself and be hard and firm on yourself. Well, you're too hard. You know what I was told? You're too hard on yourself and you're too hard on your kids. You're crazy because you're too hard. You take this stuff too serious. My mother told me before she died, you've gone too far. You're talking ancient stuff. No, Yah's words are not ancient. Yah's eternal. So I'm going to do what he says. And I recommend it for you. Any statements, contributions, additions?
Tell me how you said I love you, Yah, again in Hebrew.
You say ani? Ani? Ahavata.
Ani. Say it again.
Ani is A-N-I. That's how you say ani. Ani. Yeah, ani ahavata.
Ani ahavata.
Yeah, so ahav means love and ta means you. So ani ahavata.
Ani ahavata.
Yeah. If you say that, okay, it's I know it seems a little different, but if you say ani ahavata, you're saying everything about me, I love you. And if you keep saying ani ahavata, and you just keep repeating that, and just say it all the time, ani ahavata, then that would cause you to start asking yourself questions about your life. Because I just told you that I love you. So what does my behavior reflect ani ahavata? I just spoke to this person a certain way. Does that mean that I love you? Ani ahavata. See? So it's different. I think it triggers the eternal Israelite. Okay, the deep soul of Israel that is born into this culture, ani. That's different. You know, I can say I love you, but you say that to everybody else. So keep y'all separate. That's the beauty of the language. Because when I pray, I don't pray in English. Not to brag, I just don't pray in English. I pray in Hebrew. Because I'm a different person. I don't want to say the words that these other heathens have taught me. I want to say what you said. Because you said, Moshe. Yahweh has spoken to Moshe and say, B'nai, speak to the children of Israel. And he told them what to say. So I want to do what he says. I want to be closer. And it doesn't mean that I'm actually he's going to shine more light on me. It means that I show some respect unto his words. I'm trying to lock myself in. So you find whatever locks you in. It may not be knowing the language like that, but you can take words. That's it. Little things. We don't have to go scholar on it. Okay. Because not everybody's built for that. And not everybody's commissioned to do that. You know, not everybody's supposed to be not everybody's a Levite. Not everybody's a king. Not everybody's an officer. You know, sometimes it's okay just to be a regular person, you know, under Yah's care. When you're under Yah's care, doesn't matter who you are, because the same Torah that applies to the king is the same one that applies to the people. The poor man is no better than the king. And the king is no better than the poor man. See, the foreigner has the same law that you and I have. So who's winning? Yah. Yah is the winner. You see? So we do things that we need to do in order to get closer to Yah, to set him apart. That's the deal. I know today was a hard, seem like I'm yelling and screaming at you. I'm just telling you, don't you play a game, because those games are over. Okay. We've already been through this and we've suffered enough. Now we need to say we're sorry and change our behavior. Go ahead, Zanya.
I just wanted to say quickly, brother, that as far as language is concerned, the Hebrew language, I had for quite some time been reluctant to learn it because I watched people turn it into the Son. Oh, you can't get to the Father unless you know Hebrew. Like worshiping creation. I watched them do that, and it became kind of a turnoff for me, because I also knew that our ancestors were speaking and writing Hebrew fluently when they got scattered for being evil. So So, but at the same time, I really can say that your lessons, both my husband and I have been, doing your lessons. We can't do them with you during the week because we're on the East Coast and our age just doesn't, it's not working with that 3 hour difference. It's just not going to work.
Well, it ain't gonna work. You'll be up at midnight.
Right, exactly. But we do follow up. And like I said, I've taken it upon myself to start learning some of the language following you because it really has opened me up to a different level of Torah. And I'm so happy for the experience. I truly am. So all praises to the Most High.
Yeah.
Okay.
To speak to that point, little bit, I almost quit. I quit several times, like, oh, this is Ashkenazi, da 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 da. And then I kept, something just said, no, keep going. I kept going. And it's a process and I'm still learning. So it's not like you're going to get in and then you're going to master it and you're done. You're always going to go over the same thing. It's a cycle. So welcome to the cycle. Renee, go ahead. Alkoti. Can't hear you, honey. Sissy, can't hear you. No, not really. Your phone is really breaking up. Did you want to put it in a chat and I can read the question or? Sure. Yeah, your phone is not, sorry, Akoti. Anyone else? It's so good to see everybody on. I greatly appreciate you. Like I said, I know it's a tough lesson, but Yah wants to talk to us and he wants to let us know that I'm not the one to play with. Don't cross me. And especially when it comes to my words, because I've given you something I haven't given to anyone else. Therefore, because I've given it to you, I'm hard on you, like a father is with his son. I'm telling you that I gave this to you and I want you to guard it. And this is your inheritance and this is your heritage. So don't just blow it off like it's nothing. Don't take my words that I spoke and count them as nothing, because the moment you do that, you become nothing. Does that make sense? Yeah, I know it does. Anyone else?
I just wanted to share that when I'm having Torah study, sometimes there are words that I may not fully understand. So I'll go to other versions of that scripture to see what words they use. And then I'll go to the Hebrew. And a lot of times that word doesn't mean what they said in those other versions.
It's completely different. It's not,
yes.
It's completely different. And so that's the Greek. So here to let everyone know, when the Greeks and they write the English, right? So they're writing it based on their culture and how they understand things. So they don't have culture behind those words. That's why a lot of their words are empty. They're just words. They don't have any significant, they're very abstract. And this is the reason why it works so well in being a lawyer, because you can take those words and make it mean whatever you want it to mean, and whatever way you want it to mean, whenever you need it to mean something. They can twist it, they can turn it. In the Hebrew, you can't do that. You cannot turn and twist anything. It is what it is. It's totally concrete, okay? And so what happens, the only thing I would warn you about is this. You're gonna lose a lot of friends because they're gonna start talking to you in abstract terms, and you're gonna say stuff that's gonna make you appear to be very cold and abrasive. And say, man, you're kind of straightforward. I had a contractor come over and was giving me a bid. And I said, hey, I need it this way, this way, and this way. And I learned this from the Torah that if you want anything, it has to be written out and you should be clear. The guy told me, you're too strict. I don't want to do a project with you. You just too, you're asking too much. I'm too strict because I'm asking, and I asked for details. So you're not going to get, your whole group of people you hang around with, they're going to disappear because the language causes you to be like, no, this is what it says. Yah's not joking when he says this. There's no ambiguity here. This is what it is. So that's what the teaching is. Yah's saying this is the way it is. So I'm not here to make any friends. Okay. Go ahead, Akoti Rifkwa. And I'm going to answer, what's your name? Go ahead.
It's like the word low, low is absolute.
Absolutely.
But no in English is like, well, maybe not right now.
Not right now.
Yeah.
Thank you. That's a great point.
But low is like,
low.
Yeah.
Never. When Yah says low this, that means never to thought about, not until a certain time. It means never. No.
Like low, what is like low, what adultery, David? Can you say that in Hebrew? The low adultery
I think it's,
or murder?
well, I don't have those words off the thing, but I know there's the low thought say, meaning you shall not do.
Right. So it sounds different than thou shall not commit adultery.
No, low. No.
That just sounds like a suggestion, you know?
Yeah, you're not saying for here into eternity, never. So not in this life or the life to come or any other life.
That's different than thou shall
Yeah,
not.
no.
Well, you know, maybe I will.
Maybe,
How's that?
Yeah. Renee says, Shabbat Shalom, I think the Hebrew language gives us more of an understanding of the meaning of the words, such as our father, Yaakov, calling the name of the place Bethel, which means the house of Yah in Hebrew. Absolutely. You get more substance, right? So you're not getting the McDonald's, you're actually getting a filet mignon. You're not just getting a piece of meat at the hamburger place, you're getting a piece of steak, okay? So you don't have to eat as much of it. It's quality, you get a little piece of it and you eat it, you understand? So you're absolutely great point, Renee. It is, it's very substantive, right? It's very honest. The language is honest and is pure. That's why they call it Lashon HaKodesh, because it's a set apart. Lashon means mouth, tongue, and Kodesh means set apart. It's a set apart tongue. That's what Yah's language is. Anyone else?
How do you say I'm sorry in Hebrew?
I'm sorry. There's several different ways that it could be done. Like, for example, one where is not you ask, sorry is not really there. It's really like it's like a confession. Okay, so sorry doesn't mean I'm sorry. We don't say sorry in Hebrew. What it says that I will acknowledge, I will yada, I know, I'm confessing. Okay. So
What about shalaki, David?
So shalaki is not really shalak. Shalak means to sin. Okay, shalaki means to sin away. But when you ask Yah to forgive, right, you could say shalak ani. Okay, so shalak ani, that means forgive me. Okay, well, forgiveness can be shalaki, mean to sin away, and shalak and what they call nasane, because sane is hate, but it means nasa. Nasa means to hold and carry and to lift. So sometimes when you ask Yah for forgiveness, you can ask him to nasa. Nasa, like N-A-S-A, means to hold and to bear. Bear with me. Okay. So shalak means to sin. Shalakani means to sin away from me. Send me or send this away from me. So there's a whole bunch of words that tell us how we work with Yah. So forgiveness for Yah is about bearing, holding something. It's not abstract. Okay. You forgiving someone says, I'll bear what you just gave me. I'll hold it. You know what I mean? I'll lift it. I'll carry it. Okay. And then I'll shalak. I'll send it away. I'm going to send away what you've done. I'm going to send it away.
Like the scapegoat.
Like the scapegoat. I'm going to shalak. Yeah.
Like you were saying, he's waiting for us to say we're sorry. And I do that like every morning. but
yeah, well, he says it meant, if you look at the word confess, which is to acknowledge, right? To yada means to acknowledge what Yah says. Shuv also means repent. So you see, you got na, you got shalak, you got shuv, all these different ways. The Yah says, if he says shuv means turn. So you're going one direction. That's what the word repent is in Hebrew is shuv. But it doesn't mean just saying, I'm sorry. It means to turn. Turn what? The direction. I was going this way, and now I'm going to go back this way. Okay. And as I'm going back to the way that I left, I'm looking and acknowledging everything that I did along the way. That's the reason why he's turning us back to him right now, because as we're on our way in our journey back towards Yahweh, you're looking at everything your ancestors used to do. And when you see these things through the Torah portion, you're supposed to say, I'm sorry. I'm sorry for what they did. I'm sorry, Yahweh. Look what they did. Look what we've done. I'm sorry. See, that's what you're supposed to do. Because she's like, well, how do I know what my ancestors did? Just if you stay in the Torah portion, you'll find out everything. But Midbar is going to tell you everything they did. It's going to tell you every single thing. And as we go back on that road, we're supposed to look at it and go, I'm sorry. I won't do that, Yahweh. I've learned, and I'm learning for them because I want this line to continue. And hopefully through our obedience, if he's asking for us to say sorry for them, why do you think he's asking me and you to say sorry for them?
Because we are them and we're going to return. It's just like a plant in the ground.
Yes. So if you say sorry, remember Yah says if a person
can continue.
Yah says you're kind and you've done kind things to me. You always have a man stand before me. Yah, you'll always have somebody to stand before me. Yah saying that you are the ones who are responsible for your family line continuing. If you decide that you're not going to do what I say, I'm going to cut that family line off.
Absolutely.
Just like Pincus. Pincus will always be
He'll always have
Cohen
someone.
forever.
Yes.
Right. And it's not him, it's his line.
Yes. You understand?
Absolutely.
Okay. So praise Yah for that, you guys. I thank you. I'm going to let you guys go. I've been holding you way over, but I love you. And I just want you to know that Yah is putting us on this journey and he's going to keep telling us what it is. Okay. And what we need to do. Because I want to be there with you in the land. I really do. I want to go. I don't know about you, but I want to. I want to go there and I want to live the life wherever my remaining days are. I want to have that. I want to see the fruits and the vegetables. I want to see the kids dancing. I want the festivals. I want the Moedims. I want to see with you guys. I want to hang out with you. I want to, weigh stuff on the scales together. I want to walk with you on Pesach. I want to hang out in the tents in Sukkot with you. I want to do all these things with you. I really do. Hopefully you want to do the same with me.
Yes, sir.
All right. Shalom to all of you. All right. So I'll see you guys a little bit later today for those of you who want to come to the class. If not, it is available online on YouTube so you can see it. Okay.
Shalom.
All right.
Shalom.
Shalom, everyone.
Shabbat shalom. Toda rabah.
Toda Rabah.
Lord Rabbah.